With the 26th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Mazi Smith, defensive tackle, Michigan. This was an interesting pick, to say the least, ladies and gentlemen, because I was not expecting it. And not in a bad way. It's because you look at who is on the board, you look at, typically how these drafts go, is the Cowboys don't invest in a position like that in the first round. And they shocked everybody and took the first defensive tackle in the first round since Russell Maryland almost 30 years ago, if not 30 years ago. And it's just crazy that this happened because, the Cowboys, they did like Mazi Smith. It was one of those, do the Cowboys actually take him? They don't show a propensity doing that. But I'm telling you right now, the Cowboys did one hell of a smokescreen if I've ever seen it. I was absolutely shocked at the pick. And that's good because I shouldn't be knowing what you're picking, and that's, thank God, because I hope that no one spoiled it. But a couple things to mention about this pick, because people are probably wondering, what do I grade it initially? How am I looking at the draft? Everyone's going to look at who was on the board like it was last year, and I learned from this. Joey Porter Jr. still on the board. The offensive lineman you like in Steve Avila, and if Osiris Torrance, John Michael Schmitz, Joe Tipman, those guys are still available. Then on top of that, Joey Porter Jr. is still available. I do not know how the hell this dude is still slipping down the draft board, but evidently he is. And you still have Drew Sanders available. You have Trenton Simpson. You have plenty of picks available. So the Cowboys, if they really like a guy, like if they want to get Michael Mayer, if they want someone that badly, they can trade up, use that pick in the third round and get him. And I think that they could be saying, you know what? Why do we need to bother trading up? We'll be A-okay. And I think that's what you might see. But the Cowboys beef up the trenches. They get a defensive tackle who is not going to get the gaudiest stats, but he's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting that won't be recognized because people will look at the stats and say the dude doesn't get sacks or the dude doesn't do that. He's going to do a lot of things that are not going to be off the stat sheet, or that are going to be off the stat sheet, excuse me. So what does he bring to the table? Well, you get a guy that's going to be hopefully at the NFL level, because you can say this about any prospect, hopefully. He's going to be a very good run defender for you. He was one of the best run defenders, if not the best, arguably, depending on who you talk to, in college football, which if you were someone that wanted to get a defensive tackle because you want to beef up the trenches, this was the pick. So if you were on a Kalijah Kancey type of thing, if you were on Mazi Smith or Brian Breesy, pick of the poison there, it's a good pick for you if that's how you feel. So with this, and why I like this pick, is you get a dude that is going to help Micah Parsons a lot. You get a guy that's going to work in the interior. Now, is he going to get all the snaps? No, but I think he's going to get a priority amount of the snaps because he is a first-round pick. And on top of that, you got Dan Quinn to develop him. So let's not act like this is going to be a bad pick off the rip because people are making the same mistake they did with Tyler Smith. And you know what? That's a good thing because that means that the Dallas Cowboys have drafted themselves an all-pro, Pro Bowler, you fucking name it. Now, with Mazi, I think Mazi is going to take some time if he's going to reach that ceiling. But the Cowboys address a position in a long, long time. They take that premium draft capital and throw it at it. And I'm curious to see what Dan Quinn does with Mazi Smith. Micah was ecstatic that they took Mazi Smith because he wanted him. And I think that you look at how things have transpired, these teams that want to run the football. And to me, I think that if you were someone that was like, we need to beef up the run defense, this was a pick for you. Yeah, sure, you had Nolan Smith on the board, which I would have liked. And there were, it was one of those things where I'm not upset. I'm not upset by one bit because the guys that I would have maybe wanted for the offensive line, the tight end, you name it, they're still going to be available in round 2. And odds are, if you wanted a Michael Mayer, he might be there in round 2, right? Joey Porter Jr., do you trade up and get this dude? Or does he continue to slide? I don't know why he's sliding. I really don't. But the Cowboys have a ton of selections they can make in the next day. And I think that if they go with an offensive lineman, by some miracle, if Steve Avila gets to pick 58, this is an amazing draft for them because you get someone in the, you get Mazi Smith to beef up that defensive line in the interior, which is fantastic. And then you go and you get Steve Avila and you plug him in at guard and you boogie from there. So I understand why people are upset. Now, the one thing is that what does this mean for the future now? Because I did mention in the pre-spaces on Twitter that the pick will kind of give you a vibe of what the team's thinking. I don't think this screams a win now. I could be wrong on that. This kind of tells me that you are preparing for Johnathan Hankins to leave. You're preparing for the, with, what's his name? Neville Gallimore. That's another thing, is that this kind of screams to me that you're going to pair him and Osa together long term if you do end up paying Osa. And you got him under control for 5 years. And, people were like, why didn't you trade down? Well, apparently, according to Kyle Humans, the Chiefs wanted to trade up for Mazi with the Cowboys. So they were like, nope, we're sticking and picking. And during the live stream that we had, we kind of felt that, and what we were hearing, that tight end, it wasn't going to be a tight end. And I was shell-shocked. And again, not in a bad way. If you had to put a gun to my head and said, Space, what exactly is the grade on this pick? I'm going to give it a solid B. The Cowboys don't pick the other dudes, but again, we need to see how the rest of the draft pans out before I have a conversation about that. On top of that, you get a guy that's going to address a need a little bit now and definitely long term. If Dan Quinn stays around for a while, I'm really excited to see what Mazi Smith can be. I'm 110% behind Mazi Smith. Anyone that's comparing him to Taco Charlton, let's not do that bullshit. Seriously. And the way I look at it, the more people complain about the pick, the more likely the dude's going to be a really good player. And I'm going to go on the record, and I'll say it again. You would have had to done something really bad to piss me off. Like, if it was Brian Breesy, I would not have been a fan of that defensive tackle pick. But the Cowboys went with Mazi Smith, and you know what? You went with arguably the best defensive player on your board if you felt like you wanted an interior lineman. And if you wanted to do Nolan Smith, he was there, which now he's in Philadelphia. Speaking of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Bulldogs, because of how many they have taken. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have Mazi Smith as a Dallas Cowboy now. Congratulations, Mazi. Welcome to the team. You know what? Why not? I might pick up his jersey just for the sake of supporting him. Let's just have some fun with it. We'll see what jersey number he has. He did wear 58 in college. 58 is available. Does he go with that in Dallas? I hope so, because that'd be badass. So, I know people aren't going to like my opinion on it. I'm going to give it a B instant reaction right now. We'll see how day 2 goes. And if the Cowboys do well on day 2, like they get Steve Avila or they end up getting someone else there, I think we're sitting pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I don't really have much more to say. I will see you guys tomorrow at the end of at the end of when the Cowboys pick, honestly. I was just trying to think, am I going to do something? Nah, we're going to just wait. Alrighty, guys, I will let you guys go and have a great rest of your night. Welcome, Mazi Smith, to the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm excited to see what you can do. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.